Zoro vs Sanji is one of the biggest debates in all of anime and easily the biggest One Piece debate of all time. All time. Friends have fought over it, friends have been lost because of it, friends have been killed because of it. Okay, maybe not that far, but it's time that we as a collective figure out why this debate is happening, as well as figuring out who is the better character and putting an end to this 25-year debate, which is gonna get me destroyed in the comments, because the only thing more dangerous than having an opinion on an anime is, well, nothing. Nothing is more dangerous than that. I'd rather be deployed to prime World War II than try and tell a One Piece fan that Katakuri is overrated. So, you gotta understand this debate, because this debate has been going on since the two characters were introduced to one another. And from the moment Sanji called Zoro a mosshead, fans took arms because it was clear what Oda was trying to do. You know Luffy and the wings of the Pirate King, this whole concept Oda had of having a right hand and a left hand? Well, you could also flip this into Luffy is the youngest sibling and Zoro and Sanji are the older brothers, and they just fight long and long, and the only thing that they really get along with is looking after their idiot younger brother. So one may ask, who is the older brother? Now remember folks, this does not mean I am picking this character as the better one, just simply who is higher on the hierarchy, and it's pretty obvious that Zoro is, because the dude is literally the vice captain, and he gets paired with the vice captain of the villain crews. Although this is a character debate and not a strength debate, let's be honest, we care about how strong characters are, and depending on who you are, that may be a much bigger deal than to other people. But although Zoro should by all logic be stronger than Sanji, and to be honest, I think he is stronger, what Oda does a lot is blur the lines a bit by making Sanji and Zoro not fight proportionate fighters. For example, I feel it's pretty safe to say that pre-Wano, it was really hard to judge who was stronger than who, because the enemies on Whole Cake were a lot stronger than that of Dressrosa, and Pika just sucks, man. But Sanji didn't really fight anyone that you could really point to and say he was stronger than, and in my opinion, Queen to King is a really large gap, and Sanji didn't really struggle with Queen all that much, but still, I think it'd be extreme mental gymnastics to say that Zoro isn't stronger than Sanji. But like I said, it's way differently for everyone, but that's gonna be the heart of the debate for a lot of people, but in my opinion, power scaling is lame as hell, and honestly, even worse in One Piece, because the plot armor and hacks abilities are really insane, and I feel most of the discourse I see in the hardcore community isn't really about strength. So before we get to the real meat and potatoes, the real precipice and pinnacle of the debate, let's talk about the fun, the weird, the nonsensical, the gags. Now, Zoro's gag of getting lost is absolutely, positively, ultimately hilarious. I mean, seriously, I will be watching a reel on like Franklin D. Roosevelt talking to Winston Churchill during World War II, then all of a sudden Zoro will just pop up out of nowhere and it'll be like, oh, you got lost. Or you see Zoro get lost in the paths of AOT, or the fact that everyone that has had Zoro's sword was led down a path to death, and it's like, we don't gotta worry about that because Zoro will just get lost. I do think it's a little annoying when it starts affecting the landscape of battles a bit and using a plot device way and not a humor way, but that doesn't happen often, and when it did happen pre-time skip, it's when the story as a whole had a lighter tone, which we'll come back to later because that's huge in the Zoro side of the debate. As for Sanji, man, Jesus Christ. Yeah, his gag is really strange at times. I know a lot of people don't mind his obsessing over women, and to be honest, someone that's watched romance anime and made it through Mushoku Tensei, I have a pretty high tolerance for this kind of stuff. So it doesn't ruin my experience, but it's just awkward at times, and I can imagine for someone who's just getting into anime and One Piece is one of the first 5 anime you've seen, it can seem like they're trying really hard to be funny, but hey, I made a video like this way back when I was a beginner YouTuber, and everyone in the comments were calling me gay for criticizing it. I made a reel out of it, and someone told me to go follow @men, which is just crazy, so please leave a like right now because that was insane. So Zoro obviously has a better gag, but who cares about gags? Gags aren't what caused this war. Well, actually, sometimes they do, but it's more than that. The real reason this debate is happening is you. Okay, that may have been a little bit overdramatic and cringe, but seriously, Zoro in so many ways is the pinnacle of what every guy wants to be. He's strong as hell, he's hardworking, he's cool, he's lackadaisical, he pulls with no effort, he's got a swagger, and he's racist. Okay, scratch that last one. Scratch that last one, right? Please? Hopefully? But seriously, he's always put in the forefront to be cool and have these over-the-top badass moments, putting on a do-rag and then slicing a mountain who happened to be colored, or putting on a do-rag and slicing a phoenix who also happened to be colored, or putting on a do-rag and somehow slicing a man made out of steel who was also colored. That's not even the craziest thing he's done throughout the entirety of One Piece. And some people, when they're watching stories, they're looking to turn their brain off and just be entertained. Just point at something and be like, yeah, this is awesome, and that's really what Zoro is. Now, I'm not trying to say that Zoro doesn't have defining characteristics, but they're basic and taken to extremes. For example, Nothing Happened is an extreme show of loyalty, and easily his biggest moment as a character and many people's favorite moment in general. Now, I'll touch on this more later on, but I would argue that this is a peak moment of both Sanji and Zoro. But for now, just Zoro. Now I'm not going to bore you too much with all the themes because it's been analyzed to death, including me, but to take in all the pain and suffering for his captain and not want him to know is pretty over the top, but also a pretty sick sign of loyalty. And although Zoro has a backstory, it's almost pushed to the side. Well, Oda literally pushed part of his backstory to the side, but the part we did get was honestly pretty hardcore with his sister friend dying. It's pretty interesting and showed how he developed his hard work, but it's really brought up, and honestly, I feel like I just reminded everyone that it even happened. But Zoro is for the fantastical, the people who aren't looking at media to be too over the top or overanalyzed and just have fun. Sanji, on the other hand, when you really look at bro, he's just like the rest of us in the fact that he has been through some shit. Grew up in an abusive household with sibling robots being programmed to fight against armies. His mother dies, leading to him needing to escape, only to get taken in by a chef crew that gets invaded by pirates, then gets stranded on an island with a pirate, then gets taken to a family of pirate chefs, leaves them, finds the straws, has some good times while sacrificing himself for the crew at every turn, looking after everyone on Skypiea, going after Robin at Water 7, only to then be roped back into his crazy family, has to beat up his captain Luffy, then gets set up in an arranged marriage with a literal Cyclops, manages to actually fall for the Cyclops, and he thinks he found his light in the dark tunnel, only for her to be secretly plotting to kill him, and then he escapes and learns that his super cool new power-up is slowly taking over his mind. Yeah, he's pretty deep, and his gag leads into him actually having moments of trusting others and relying on his friends and people around him. Now, Sanji goes through such a roller coaster of emotions in terms of who he is as a person and his past, and everyone likes to bag on bro because he cries from time to time. He's not as fun as Zoro, and although his fights are good, they're not too entertaining, but his storylines are so much better. And I know for anime-only consumers, the adaptation of Whole Cake was really rough, really slow, so that may have adjusted your perception on him, but Sanji as a whole is one of the deepest characters in One Piece and one of the most relatable. Mainly because his life is realistic to that of a normal person. If anything, it's even worse. He has ups and downs, and most importantly, his ups and downs have nothing to do with fighting, unlike most characters in anime. To those that enjoy the deep narratives and character developments and change, Sanji is naturally going to be looked at as a superior character to Zoro. So now that the cards are on the table, the point has been made as to how this debate started. And before we get to the conclusion on who is better than who, we need to analyze nothing happened from both perspectives. So let's take into account the fact that whenever there's something lighthearted and chill going on, these two will be fighting with one another non-stop. And now we have a situation where Luffy is knocked out and they gotta step up, both of them rushing to lay their lives out on the line. The two of them come together and work in conjunction with one another until Zoro shoves Sanji out of the way and chooses to do it himself. But what's clear is Sanji is clearly willing to do the same, and as soon as Sanji wakes up, he rushes to check in on Zoro, and he honors Zoro's wish of not telling anyone, implying that Sanji knows and understands Zoro and his intentions behind all of his actions. And another example of them working in conjunction with one another is when they save Toko and Wano. That scene was so cool, and they just jump in there like Batman and Robin. Oh my god. The point of all this is that Oda has created a really good brotherhood between the two. The characters understand one another on a deeper level, and it's easily one of the best dynamics in One Piece by far, and this being such a heated debate is representative of that because Oda has created a clear line of brotherhood within the community that then comes together for the big hype moments. And yes, that sounds corny because it is corny, but it's true. But who is better? Because I know you didn't come this far to not get an answer, and me who has made videos on both of them being the best character in One Piece, and also Robin, so I've really been going around to everyone. But for me personally, I think at my advanced age, I would go with Sanji. Now for all the reasons stated, but it's mainly because of what happened to Zoro. Sanji's evidence is there and clear, and you understand my argument. But the reason it's not Zoro is because, like I was talking about earlier, Zoro pre-time skip is pretty similar to how he is post-time skip, except he's laughing a lot more and he has this lighthearted energy to him that's no longer there because of the whole Kuma incident and him needing to get stronger. And I think it's made it a lot less fun to watch him when it's not a fighting scene, and at times he feels really robotic, and I don't know why Oda went this route of taking away a lot of Zoro's emotions, but it is what it is. So ultimately the value of Sanji overtook the entertainment I got from Zoro. So are you team alcohol or are you team cigarettes? And check out my original version of this video I made a year ago and let me know how much better I've gotten. So leave a like, subscribe, and don't forget, we're just getting started, we're gonna stay consistent, and I'll see you in the next video.